Hey guys, welcome to the fourth NBA on Ekalavyas podcast. Now, after the semi-final matchups and the conference finals have been completed, we're going to bring you our review of the conference finals, both West and East, and the preview of the NBA finals. Now, this time, of course, this is Vishnu Ravi Shankar. I have with me Himamshu Davir again, and it's a full house this time. We have Kabir Saxena, student contributor, and Pradyut Valetti from Dribble Academy as well. We'll start out with the West, the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets matchup. Now, before I start out, both these conference finals were sort of a disappointment. At least to me, I thought there would be more matches and we see a lot more action. But one team dominated, the other team sort of didn't put up enough of a fight. Starting with the West, Golden State versus Houston. So let's start, guys. What are your thoughts?
All right, I think the first two games were really close. I think, and those were the deciding factors for the rest of the series. And I think just the fact that I think Houston turned over the ball, James Harden turned over the ball in game two at that crucial moment probably cost them the series. Because if they would have won that game, you would go back for two games. They could be up 3-1. So we would have been talking about a totally different matchup.
Yeah, it sort of went like Houston went how Harden went. I mean, the first two games it was close because Harden almost got a triple double in each of those games. He missed. He was like an assist shy of a triple double in both those games. And I thought they'll actually steal one in the second game. It was just a 1 point difference, 99-98. But then the third game, Golden State came to Houston. It was a complete blowout. They lost by 35 points, and then it sort of went downhill from there for Houston.
For me, it was less about Harden and more about Dwight Howard and his lack of ability to score in the post now compared to what he used to be. He's can still rebound and play defense, but he's far removed from the time when he was a potential MVP candidate with Orlando, and it's obvious now.
Yeah, and Howard did get injured in the first game. He missed some time in the first game, but it didn't seem like anything major. He came back with a double-double in the second game and in the third game, but then, I mean, Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors were just offensively, it seemed like they could get anything they wanted in this series.
Yeah, I think James Harden hasn't shared the ball enough. I think he should trust his teammates more, and had he given the ball more to Jason Terry and Trevor Ariza and Corey Brewer, I think they would have had a better chance of making it. He's got to be able to be a better passer. He is definitely a good passer, but in this series, I think Steph Curry and Klay Thompson played a huge role in double teaming him. Every time he tried penetrating, both of them were on him. Quick hands, getting to him, making sure that he loses the ball, played a huge role.
Yeah, and Steph Curry was big. I mean, the first two games, 34 points, 33 points. That huge game three, 40 points. He did suffer that fall in game four. I mean,
scary.
I thought that, they probably may have swept the series if not for that fall. He missed 10 minutes of that game. 5 minutes in the second quarter, 5 minutes in the third quarter. It was a scary fall, but he managed to get back. They dropped that game four. James Harden blew up for 45 points, which was, his best showing in the playoffs so far. And then Game 5, back in Golden State, they just finished it off. Game 5, there was also another injury to Klay Thompson with a knee to the head from Trevor Ariza.
Yeah, and he suffered a minor concussion. He went back to the locker room, and the surprising thing was he came back into the game and played a couple of minutes, and after receiving some stitches to his ear. But I think Steve Kerr thinks he's going to be up and ready to go for the finals. Let's hope he and Curry are 100%.
Yeah.
So the one thing I wanted to comment on in what Prithvi had said about Harden not passing the ball or sharing the ball as much, but the problem is that's the way that they ran their offense the entire regular season. So it's going to be hard to change when you get into a situation like the playoffs where you play the same team 4 or 5 times, or in this case 5 times in a row, and they adjust their defense to stop that one player. So it could be more of a philosophical thing that they have to look at next year to make sure that they correct that and start incorporating the entire team going forward from the start of the season.
I agree. And even I think James Harden passing, the assist he had doesn't give a fair picture of how he's passing. Because he's the type of guy who's only going to pass it if it's going to lead to a potential assist. So that's what I believe, and that's what I noticed.
It's an open shot, or he's going to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what he needs to improve in if they want to have a shot next year. And the brand of basketball they played the entire regular season, which was actually very successful, failed them in the playoffs. And I think, as Himanshu would very rightly say, I told you so.
Yeah, and let's talk about those turnovers that James Harden had in the final
NBA,
game.
NBA record.
Yeah, it was 12 turnovers.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just not his day. He just lost the ball in crucial parts down the stretch.
He shot terrible too.
Yeah. And 12 turnovers, he got less than 20 points. But the Golden State Warriors have so many offensive weapons with, even if the other guys don't step up, like in Game 5, Harrison Barnes got 24 points. So you just need to look at everybody. And in some stretches also, I thought Houston played really horrible defense. I mean, Steph Curry getting the looks that he got. And
well, that's Beverly being injured.
Yeah, I think because both of their 2 point guards they have who are healthy are simply too old or too slow to keep up with Steph Curry. Like Jason Terry and Prigioni simply can't keep up around all those screens which the Warriors set to get Curry open.
Yeah.
And I think that was the deciding factor this series.
Yeah, so Thompson looks like he will be back for game 1, like you said. The only person injured on the Golden State Warriors roster is Maurice Spates. And so far, they didn't seem like they needed him. They're going to progress to the finals for the first time since 1975. It's after a gap of 40 years. Where they will face the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, moving on to the Eastern Conference, this was a totally unexpected result. I mean, we thought Atlanta Hawks would put up more of a fight, but it was a sweep by Cleveland. Guys, let's chime in on this.
Injuries kind of hurt the Hawks, with DeMar Carroll being a little bit slow. Korver getting hurt in the second game really killed them because a lot of their offense is predicated on his man not helping, especially on the pick and rolls. So the minute that the defense doesn't have to worry about him, they can sag into the lane, and it cuts off a lot of driving lanes and post-up looks for their players.
Yeah, and how big was LeBron this series? I mean, he took a lot of shots, but that's also because of the absence of other star players on the team. Kyrie was injured for game 2 and 3, and Kevin Love, of course, was out for the entire series. And LeBron sort of put the team on his back and got them through every game. In the second game, Korver did get injured, and Dellavedova was the cause of that. But what do you guys think about that? Was that
dirty, man?
I don't think he has been involved, unfortunately, in a series of injuries. But he plays hard, and I don't think any of them were intentionally inflicted.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it from a few angles, it seemed like okay, there was no need for him to go that far on his leg, but then. You could also say it was the momentum, and he was just going for the ball.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, these are professional athletes. I'll take back calling him dirty and just call him an agitator, because it's not just the injuries that he's caused. It's also the flagrants that get called on the other player because he's the one causing the issue. For example,
he's like Ron Artest was in 2009.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of the games he just got in, and within a minute he drew an offensive foul by agitating one of the other players. So he's that kind of guy, and then he hits the three right after that. So he's like aggravating the kind. It's beautiful to see the kind of player, if you have that kind of tempo, that 1 minute you're like agitating a player, like making them real angry, and the next moment you go off a pick and just shoot a 3-pointer. I think that not a lot of players have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's playoffs, man. I think players need to know how to control their tempo, not get a technical foul. A lot of them tend to get aggravated by those situations. Yeah.
So I agree with that, but at the same time, they have replay for a reason, and there was multiple times where they were checking the replay about whether upgrading it to a flagrant 2 or flagrant 1, and what the player did in retaliation to what he did. But they didn't go back and look at what he did to instigate it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go back and look at it to try to escalate it to a flagrant 1 or a technical or whatever, you have to look at what he did to instigate it and give him the equal punishment, if not, or in equivalent punishment, not necessarily to the player, but to the action that he had.
Yeah, and recently I was watching ESPN First Take, and Skip Bayless said something which I think is very true. He said, I think nobody, including the referees, really know what a flagrant foul is. Because there's no concrete definition. All they say is, unnecessary and excessive contact. That's flagrant 2.
Yeah.
And, for example, when Dwight Howard set a screen on Andre Iguodala and he elbowed him in the neck, that was not called a flagrant in the game, but after the game, the league decided to call it a flagrant.
Yeah, I mean that's just so. It's inconsistent, right? Because Horford I didn't think that was a flagrant. I mean, I didn't think he deserved to get ejected on that play
Definitely not.
in Game 3. Yeah, and the ironic part or the confusing part was that Dellavedova got a technical on that play. So if he did get a technical, there was some sort of provocation from his end, and they didn't look into that. They just gave him a technical and then straight a flagrant 2 out. And of course, that affected the Atlanta Hawks. That game did go into overtime, and Horford, if he was there
He would have
down
been
the stretch,
huge.
he would have they would have made a difference. I mean,
One thing I think one point I'd like to make is NBA should not penalize retaliation so rigorously. I think because when you're you're in an aggressive mindset when you're playing, and if your actions are a result of what somebody else did to you, you should not be so severely punished for that. That's why I think Taj Gibson also should not have been ejected after that leg lock by Dellavedova.
yeah, I didn't think that was deserving of flagrant 2 either. So, but then let's talk about some good things about Dellavedova also. I mean, he was big when Kyrie Irving was not there in Game 2 and Game 3, and the Hawks sort of let him get to them. If you saw in Game 4. This normal fouls. I mean, from Dellavedova, where you saw Jeff T giving an abnormal reaction or an overreaction to it, like why is he doing this and all that kind of stuff, and you can't let that get to you. So Dellavedova becomes sort of a crowd favorite in Cleveland now. The other important player for Cleveland was Tristan Thompson this series. He killed on offensive rebounding. He killed them on the boards. A lot of games he got. 10 plus boards. In Game 2, he got 16 rebounds when Horford was out. So he just sort of he does a dirty work. He's that kind of a player, and Cleveland needs him right now.
Absolutely, and I think he's been absolutely huge for the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially on the offensive glass, because he fights for every single rebound, and you can't lay off of him every time somebody shoots, because he's going to go and get it. And he led the league in offensive rebounds, and I think that's a testament to his hard work and just how badly he wants the basketball.
Yeah, and there's another factor that you can probably talk about in this series is the injury suffered by Thabo Sefolosha before the playoffs. I mean, probably if he was there, there would have been maybe another body on LeBron. He's a good defensive presence. The Hawks didn't have that either. So Korver injured in the second game. Didn't play the rest of the series. Thabo Sefolosha was out. Horford did go out in the last 5 minutes of the second game, but then by that time it was probably over already. He was ejected in the third game, so things didn't go well for the Hawks. But
and
then,
not to mention, DeMar Carroll was limited after hurting his knee.
Yeah, that's right. But then even without even Cleveland for that matter didn't have Kyrie Irving for games 2 and 3, and their role players stepped up. How big was J.R. Smith was in this series?
He was huge. And I think this is my time to say I told you so. I told Himanshu, J.R. Smith is a big game player. He's a big shot taker and a big shot maker. And
he's still shooting less than he did with percentage-wise and playing efficiency-wise less than he was with the Knicks. It just happens that he's now playing on a bigger stage, so people are starting to take notice.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he has LeBron on his team has changed his mindset. Now he believes his role is to offer spot-up shooter, to knock down open threes. He's accepted that role. And he's flourishing in that role.
I don't know if he's accepted shooting open threes. He even commented that I don't like shooting open threes. They're not fun. So I think
that was more of a humorous statement.
I don't know with him.
Yeah, you don't know if it's humorous or not.
I still think it's partly because he's in Cleveland and it's not New York. Like he's a known partier and he's a known guy that if it's around, he's going to go out. So I think that has a big thing to do with it.
Yeah, so now LeBron James has led this team to the NBA Finals. This is after 2007.
Yeah, one quick note. I think this is the first time in I think more than 40 years that a player has played in 5 straight NBA Finals. And I think props to LeBron for that.
Yeah, the last time was the Celtics players that
the
ran in
Celtics era, and they won 5 straight.
Bill Russell.
Yeah, exactly. So now LeBron is he's reached his 5th straight NBA Finals and his 6th overall. Yeah, his 6th overall. I mean, he has a 2-3 win-loss record in the NBA Finals. Now this time it'll be against the Golden State Warriors. So let's move on to the preview of the NBA Finals matchup. I mean, this is something that Kabir had predicted in his written column for Ekalavyas. You can check that out, which was published before the playoffs started.
Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. One small note, an interesting fun fact, sort of a trivia. LeBron James and Steph Curry were born in the same hospital
Yeah, in Akron.
in Akron, Ohio, 39 months apart. This
So
is
Akron
when.
is very well represented in this year's NBA Finals.
Yeah. So this is. So what are your predictions for this, the NBA Finals? Let's
I think
talk about this.
it's going to be interesting to watch two of the best ball handlers play against each other.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving versus Steph Curry. Of course, Kyrie is
I expect
more
that coming
injured
from a guy from Dribble
comparatively.
Academy.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving versus Steph Curry. I do know Kyrie is slightly more injured compared to Steph, but I think if he can play off the pick, he can penetrate. I think both of them are explosive. It's going to be interesting. I think even with the injuries both of them have had recently, I think it's still going to be an interesting matchup. Who can create more space? Who can pick up the three or pass the ball well? I think I'm saying it's going to be a point guard fight.
And what I think is this is going to be the first series in which the absence of Maurice Spates might play a reason, because Tristan Thompson has been great on the defensive end, and having Maurice Spates lets you spread out the floor because he's a good outside shooter. And I think the Warriors might miss Maurice Spates in this series simply because of the spacing he provides.
I still think they'll be okay at the end of the day,
Yeah.
but it comes down to a lot of Kyrie's health, because Kyrie needs to take the pressure off of LeBron. One thing the Golden State has, on top of being a great offensive team, is they have a lot of perimeter defenders to throw at LeBron, and eventually he's going to wear down. You have Harrison Barnes,
Andre
you have
Iguodala.
Andre Iguodala, even Klay Thompson when he needs to play on that can play. Even Draymond Green when they go big and LeBron plays 4.
Yeah, I think
least
Klay
for
Thompson was
spurts.
fabulous on James Harden actually.
Yeah.
James Harden was simply too good, but I think he did a great defensive job. I think he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league actually.
Yeah, so they have a lot of people they can throw at LeBron and slow him down. It's going to be up to Kyrie to kind of create some secondary offense for him when LeBron's a little beat or tied up or whatever it is. So Kyrie's health to me is a deciding factor.
Yeah, and also to speak about the two contrasting styles. I mean, Cleveland has come out of a subpar Eastern Conference, beating those teams, and the Golden State Warriors have dominated and overloaded Western Conference. So Cleveland will really need to step up their defense in the NBA Finals, because they'll be facing an offensive powerhouse in Golden State.
Yeah, and Oracle Arena is the best arena in the NBA for sure. I mean, they only lost I think 2 home games the entire.
Yeah, the success they
entire
had
regular
in the
season.
Oracle Arena this season
Yeah.
was, and they also have history on their side. Of course, they won
Yeah,
67 games. All
Yeah.
the teams that have won 65 plus games in
Have-
the past have
have
gone
won,
on to win
yeah.
an NBA championship.
Yeah,
13
yeah.
teams out of 14. This is the 14th
Yeah,
team.
yeah. I
So
think
they-
the Dallas Mavericks didn't win when they won 65 games. Other than that, every team has won.
Yeah. So
They lost in the first round to the Golden State
Yeah.
Warriors.
yeah, that's
they
right.
did, yeah.
That was when Baron Davis was there. Yeah. So
Yeah, I think shooting guards, man. Klay Thompson versus Shumpert.
Or J.R. Smith.
Or J.R. Smith,
No, I
depending
think Shumpert is preferably going to be starting, and then J.R. is
yeah,
going to come
J.R.
off the
Smith's off
bench.
the bench.
Yeah, Shumpert for defense.
I think, Shumpert is better at the defensive end, but Klay can do both. I think he's more explosive as a shooter as well as getting back on defense. I mean, making stops and in transition basketball. I think he is quicker. It'll be an interesting matchup again. I think the whole series is going to be, all positions are a better matchup. But I think Klay Thompson and Iman Shumpert, I'd go for Klay. Shooting over Shumpert, I think.
Yeah, and I think Klay Thompson couldn't produce so well in the Western Conference Finals because he was expending so much energy trying to stop James Harden.
yeah.
And some of that load will be lifted off in the finals because he's going to have a sort of a offensively not so good Shumpert to guard, so he can focus more on his offense. But in my opinion, what I'm looking forward to actually is Timofey Mozgov versus Andrew Bogut, because both of them are not really scorers, good defensive players, and or I think if Tristan Thompson is going to play the center position, then Tristan Thompson against Andrew Bogut, because Bogut was selected to the All NBA first All Defensive team, and that's a testament to his defensive prowess.
Yeah, he's managed to stay healthy so far in the playoffs. So health is again a big factor for him because he's sort of injury prone. let's see. Yeah, Timofey Mozgov also has been good for the Cavaliers. It'll be they're both two legit 7 foot centers, 7 foot guys.
International both.
Yeah, and Aussie and Russian. I mean, there
Yeah.
are two Aussies on opposing sides this playoffs as well.
Quick trivia actually. Andre Bogut pushed to his general manager to actually select Dellavedova, but they didn't have a roster spot. So you might have been a scenario where Dellavedova and Andre Bogut might be on the same team.
Yeah, life has changed for Dellavedova over the past 2 years. I mean, he was undrafted, then he got selected by the Cavaliers without LeBron.
Yeah.
I mean, so to speak, even for David Blatt, the life has changed. I mean, he thought
he
he'll
fell
start
into the right position.
Yeah, but he thought he'll start the season with a different roster.
Yeah.
And then LeBron came with that letter to Sports Illustrated, and that changed everything.
He was going to be an assistant with Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
There was a possibility.
The Golden State was looking to recruit him. There are also two rookie head coaches in the playoffs.
Yeah, this hasn't happened in the first year of the NBA.
Yeah, because the first year.
Yeah, because everybody's a rookie in the first year.
Yeah, exactly. So, a lot of interesting.
I think Warriors have the greatest assistant coach in basketball, in Alvin Gentry. And
Alvin Gentry now been picked up by the New Orleans Pelicans.
Now Pelicans stole him away. Of course, with the prospect of coaching Anthony Davis was too great for Alvin Gentry to pass on.
Yeah, Alvin Gentry did add a lot of offensive.
He's an offensive genius. He coached. He led Steve Nash to the NBA Finals where Kobe took over, but
Conference Finals.
Conference, the Western Conference Finals.
My bad.
Yeah. So
LeBron James versus Harrison Barnes. I mean, I think LeBron. The beauty of that guy is his position, his size, and multiple positions. I think he can post up better than Harrison Barnes, definitely. He can play multiple positions. If Kyrie and Shumpert can get him the ball at the right place in an ISO at the post up and stuff like that, he can do a fadeaway. He can shoot the ball. But again, I think Harrison Barnes is quicker than LeBron James on the feet. He can, in terms of, if you look at him in the past, the most recent game, fundamental basketball at its best. Triple threat position, get the ball, shot fake, drive in. He did it 4 times in a row. Harrison Barnes. I think he went on a run about 8-9 points.
The 24-point game.
Right. So I think, but it's an interesting matchup. I don't think it'll be easy for Harrison Barnes to guard LeBron James.
Yeah, but there'll probably be
nobody in the
Iguodala.
world for whom it's easy to guard LeBron.
Yeah.
And one very interesting comment I'd like to add. A reporter asked LeBron James, "How do you stop Steph Curry?" And you know how LeBron James responded? He said, "The same way you stop me, you don't."
Yeah, well, and also LeBron has the fact that this entire story itself is so special for LeBron because this is the first time he's coming back home after that stint in Miami, and in the first year itself he led this team to the championship without the so-called Big Three. This is sort of an equivalent of Miami without having Wade and
but they had
and Chris
Shaq.
Bosh. Of course, I probably think that probably Chris Bosh is better than Kevin Love, but
for sure.
Yeah, but it's like without Kevin Love and Kyrie, a very limited Kyrie, he sort of put the team on his back and he's got them to the NBA Finals. So for that, I would sort of want LeBron to get another championship, but I feel like Golden State will just be too much for them. I think Golden State will probably pull this off and win. Steph Curry will get his first NBA championship.
Yeah, I think double team. I think Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are very good at leaving the match. I've been seeing a lot of footage, and as soon as the ball goes to the post, they're able to identify exactly when to leave their man and go down and pressure the ball. I was just recently watching Memphis versus Warriors, and the way he pressured on Gasol to throw the ball out again and again multiple times really played a huge role in their win against them. So I think Golden State definitely.
Yeah, Golden State is an offensive as well as defensive juggernaut. They led the league in defensive and offensive rating. That speaks volumes about how good they are.
And like you mentioned, defense, Draymond Green is their X factor, the runner-up in defensive player.
Yeah, second. He finished second in voting in the defensive player of the year behind Kawhi Leonard. Even after winning more first place votes. But besides that, I think Draymond Green can guard any position from the 2 to 5. I think except for the point guard, he can guard any player on the team, and that allows the Warriors to switch all the pick and rolls, which very few teams do. They switch the pick and rolls, and they still are in a position to make a defensive stop, which is I think a big reason for their defensive abilities.
So your predictions, Kabir?
I'm going to go Warriors in 6.
So three people going with the Warriors.
I'm going to go Warriors 5 or 6.
I'll still want to talk a little on Mozgov versus Bogut, man.
Yeah.
I think Bogut has the upper hand. He's a better passer.
Yeah,
Of course, rebounding. I think Mozgov is going to take it from him, but Bogut can find the free man. I've seen him a lot of times. He's been able to find the free man, make that extra pass, come off a pick, get the ball in, again double team threat, shed the ball out, go for multiple screens. He's quicker.
Yeah.
And I think after Mark Gasol, he's probably the best passing big man in the game. After the Gasol brothers, I think Bogut is up there in terms of passing.
So I think Mozgov will have to really step it up to play a huge role. I don't think he can. It'll be very interesting, but I'd go for Bogut any day. So
and Bogut thing is he can make an impact without scoring 2 to 4. He can score 2 to 4 points and still have a huge impact on the game.
That's
Which he's done so far in the playoffs. He has 12 rebounds, 3-4 blocks. And he just affects the game in a whole different way.
Also, I mean, Festus Ezeli has played actually really, really well, especially the last series. So even if Bogut needs a rest, they still have another 7-footer to come in, kind of get some rebounds, putbacks, just set good screens for their offense. That's a very, very big thing. Is setting screens for Klay Thompson and Seth Curry. So both of those guys are a big body that can create trouble for LeBron and for anybody who drives in the paint defensively as well as offensively. They're going to be big on setting the screens and getting their shooters open.
Yeah, and I think as you mentioned that LeBron is going to use his post up more often. I think if LeBron starts using the post up, they need to put Draymond Green on him because Draymond Green is an elite post up defender.
The bigger body.
He's a bigger body. He shut down Dwight Howard, who has got like I think 5 or 6 inches on him. So I think Draymond Green is a great post-up defender. I think they need to put him on LeBron in case LeBron starts posting up too much.
So I guess we're all Golden State here.
Yeah, Dub Nation.
It looks like it.
Definitely.
Probably should have one other guy who's supporting the Cavs on this.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Vishnu is a bit torn between the Cavs and the
Well, I want the Cavaliers to win purely because of LeBron James.
I want it to be a 7-game series.
Yeah,
absolutely. For sure.
The finals are worth it, man. They got to go game 7.
Yeah.
I just want the games to be close. All the games that Golden State have played,
no blowouts.
They've just been blowouts, one way or the other, for the most part.
The conference finals have been such a bust, right? I mean, it's so one-sided. So,
and in comparison to the first round of the Western Conference Finals, where you had these crazy Game 7, so it's surprising that the Western Conference Finals, have been less interesting than the first round.
Which is crazy.
Well, I think fundamental basketball, good pick and roll, hedging, watching the screens, double teaming, all that's going to play a huge role. I think.
And good hard basketball also, going for the offensive rebound. The Warriors will really need to keep Tristan Thompson off the glass.
I think it's going to be real physical. There's definitely going to be some...
Draymond Green, Tristan Thompson.
Definitely need to talk about that. There's going to be some kind of physical altercation at some point during the series.
Absolutely.
And they both sort of cut from the same cloth, right? They're both hard players and they understand the physicality. I mean, they don't shy away from any contact or anything like that.
I think Draymond Green is much more versatile.
Absolutely, because he can get you assists. And Tristan Thompson can't do that. He can't pass the basketball. He can just get the rebound.
No, I'm talking about the mentality.
Mentality.
Hustle players and
just do whatever it takes.
Exactly. So NBA Finals, the first game starting on 5th June India time.
Thursday night US time.
Friday morning. So watch out for that. So we'll come back to you midway through the NBA Finals. Hopefully it's a 7-game series, so we'll come back to you bang after say Game 3 or Game 4. This is Vishnu Ravishankar, Himanshu Dabir, Kabir Saxena and Pradyut Volati signing off.